Major Garrett is now joining us as well. Major, you know, from the time that Sean Spicer started doing this job, there was a lot of speculation about just how long he would last. He certainly endured a lot of pressure. Your take on this announcement?
Well, it's important to remember that Sean Spicer became the president's press secretary because of the persistent advocacy of the chief of staff, Reince Priebus. And Reince Priebus really had to make the case to President Trump that Sean Spicer was the person who should be at the podium and be the press secretary. That was among the first most important, if you will, I don't want to say necessarily confrontations, but power moves that Reince Priebus made as chief of staff to make sure that Sean Spicer was the press secretary. Well, now Sean Spicer has resigned after a very turbulent early start to his role as press secretary, and that, as Ed and Zeke have pointed out, an almost invisible role here at the White House the last month or so. It's been very hard to detect what Sean Spicer has been doing on behalf of the messaging for this president. No on-camera briefings, the occasional off-camera briefing, and maybe some planning of communication strategy long-term, but only at the margins. I would say in the last 4 to 6 weeks, Sean Spicer has been less and less central to whatever the messaging strategy of this White House has been. And it's been an open question among many of us covering the White House what he was actually doing and what his future would be. Well, the decision for the president to extend the offer of communications director to Anthony Scaramucci, somebody, to go back to where I started, Reince Priebus, the chief of staff, had made sure would not have a significant role here in the West Wing of the Trump White House, kind of brought all this to a head. Not only was Sean Spicer's role being diminished, he was going to be replaced by someone who he did not feel was the best fit at this White House, and his #1 ally within the West Wing, the chief of staff, Reince Priebus, had also tried to make sure did not have a prominent role in the West Wing. Well, now that's happened. And I would also just suggest, if it isn't clear already, Sean Spicer resigning may have an influence on the duration or the durability of Reince Priebus as chief of staff. Not clear yet, but those two were very closely linked from the beginning. They may be linked now.
Very fascinating background information, Major.